Hey folks, let's talk about paying taxes or avoiding taxes. Join me. Hi folks, welcome to The Way I See It, which is my podcast on all things money, personal finance, the economy, and all that, right? This week I want to talk about taxes. April the 15th was tax day in America, which is the cutoff where all Americans have to file personal income taxes. In Nigeria, tax days, I would say, is about, the first quarter, March the 30th, because in Nigeria, you have to file taxes 90 days after the end of the year. So March would be the cutoff date to file personal income tax as well, which is our own tax day. But let's talk specifically about tax avoidance. So, which must not be confused with tax evasion. Evasion is illegal. Tax avoidance is a perfectly legal way to reduce your tax liability by applying the law itself. So, if you're avoiding taxation, you're basically using laws that are out there to reduce your tax burden. And I want to talk about how we can do that and how we can also use that in our own personal finance plan. So, understand what taxes are. Government uses taxes not just to raise revenues, but to also direct investments in certain sectors of the economy. For instance, if the government of a country produced, say, oranges and then imported, say, apples, and the government wanted to create a country where they were also exporting apples, what would they do? Well, they could pass a law and say, for every apple that you export, you get a tax credit. What would happen? Orange sellers would start to plant apples, all things being equal, right? So that when they export apples, they get a tax credit and they reduce the taxes they pay on oranges. So that's how you use taxes to your advantage. The government gets its wish, i.e., more apples are exported because they're offering a tax credit. The farmers also get their wish, i.e., their taxes are reduced. So taxes are not just punitive. Taxes are also directionally and planned. The government could say, we want to achieve this purpose and we're going to give this tax break. So we're talking about how we can take advantage of those tax breaks that are already on the books to then plan out our own personal finance. Yeah. Sometimes we hear Amazon or we hear those big corporations not paying taxes or not paying federal income taxes. That is because the laws allow companies, when they make an investment, when they make a profit and they make an investment, they can write out those profits and amortize those profits in terms of a tax benefit. So if you invest in a new factory, you can basically say, this amount I invest in this factory, I'm going to take it off every year to reduce my tax burden, because the government wants to encourage companies to invest. Hence, they give those incentives. So when Amazon is making sales, Amazon turns around and invests those sales back into the business to buy new factories, new vans. And because it's doing that, that's a capital expenditure. Because it's doing a capital expenditure, the laws allow Amazon not to pay taxes on that exercise. So that's how Amazon doesn't pay federal income tax. But on the flip side, Amazon is also growing the GDP of America because then it's investing in capital assets. So it's a win-win for everyone. Yeah. But for us, how can we take advantage of it as individuals? I would say the very, very first thing you should try to do if you want to avoid taxes is to see if you can incorporate a business. I mean, do a side hustle. What do you know? Do you have a skill? Is there an activity that you judge can make money from? If you can, incorporate it. Because a business makes profits, right? And the tax laws allow you to write off or to claim those expenses used to generate the profit in that business as taxable or tax deductible expenses. So, for instance, if your business was you were growing, say, cassava, and you were growing cassava in a factory, and that factory was buying diesel to produce power, you could write off the entire cost of that diesel as a cost of doing business. That would be an expense. So when you make a profit, you write the profit off to those expenses, and then you don't pay taxes on the whole profit. Now, if your house is in the same power generated by the diesel generator that powers the cassava farm, it's another matter entirely. I mean, you're getting the power, but ultimately the power is also going to the factory. So you see what I'm saying. So if you incorporate a business, then it's possible to write those expenses. If your business is in your personal house, if you say you import phones, for instance, and people come to your house to buy those phones, of course, people are going to enjoy the air conditioning in your house. That's a tax write-off right there. If you buy a TV and people will get to watch TV whilst they're waiting for you to unpack the phones and all that, you can make an argument that your house is your primary place of business. And then that becomes a tax expense. I mean, the rent in the house, that's a business premises. That's a tax deductible expense right there. So I think you get a point I'm making. If you are using your car to generate income for your business, then the gas you buy in your car is also a tax deduction, more or less. So starting a business is a very, very simple way for you to do tax avoidance, i.e., to route your expenses used in generating the profits as a taxable deduction, and that reduces your total tax liability. Yeah. The second example I like to give is for you to do a tax advantaged contribution. There are a lot of schemes set up by the government that encourage individuals to save. A few of them come to mind, like the pension contributions, like contributions to health insurance, contributions to National Housing Fund, things like that. You would mostly find that when you contribute to those sort of schemes, you defer taxes at best, and or you do not pay taxes when you make those contributions. So that allows your funds on the finance side to grow compounded year by year. So if you're putting money into a fund and you're not taking it out to pay taxes, then those funds are growing and compounding year by year by year. And it's a big, big, big advantage to you. But most importantly, if you earn 1,000 naira and you take out 100 naira and you contribute that 100 naira to a pension scheme, then your income is no longer 1,000. Your income is now actually 900, because the government will take the 100 you've contributed to the pension as a tax deductible expense, which means that they will only tax you on what is left, not what you earn, but what is left after you have contributed to this sort of scheme. So I would say max out your retirement savings account. According to the law, see if you can do additional voluntary contributions. Why don't you contribute for your wife? Why don't you contribute for your kids? Why don't you employ your kids and your wife in your business, and then pay salaries, housing, and allowances to them, so you can make pension contributions to your kids and to your wife who work for your company. So that's a tax deduction right there, and it's all legal. So I like the tax deductions because, again, the flip side is the economy gets long-term savings. Any amount you contribute towards your retirement savings account is available to then be invested back in the economy as long-term savings. So it's a win-win again for everyone. You get your tax write-off, the economy gets long-term savings, and the government can then go back and borrow those long-term savings by issuing bonds at a cheaper price. So I like that. The third one I like is also buying a house, say with a mortgage. I mean, if you want to buy a house, go get a loan, get a mortgage, because when you make your interest payments, that's also tax deductible. Not just buying a house. If you take a loan for a business, and you pay the interest, that might be argued to be a tax deductible expense. But mortgages are great ways for you to also avoid taxes, because when you pay the mortgage, you can also claim that as a tax deduction according to the law. So you have to find out the specifics, how much you can claim and all that. But that's a good way for you to become a house owner, and of course reduce your tax liability. Then I also like buying life insurance for you and for your partner as well, because law in Nigeria at least says that if you buy insurance and you buy insurance for your wife, the amount you pay as premium for yourself and for your partner, your partner pays for you, as the case may be, is also, you can also write that off as a tax benefit or tax deduction on your income. So if you clearly have dependents, like I always say, that you want to buy insurance, you can't insure your life. You are simply insuring your loss of income. So once you have dependents, it's it's you must buy life insurance, or as I call it, income insurance. So once you buy life insurance, make sure you also buy for your partner, and that those premiums that you pay are also tax deductible. Also a great way for you to avoid taxes. The last one I like, not the last on the least in terms of ranking, but I like it a lot, is donate to charity. I mean, if you're blessed and you have funds, or if you're blessed and you have the means, look for a good charity and donate to. If you make a donation to your alumni or to a cancer research or sickle cell research, you can claim back that donation in terms of the tax deductible deduction. So, I mean, your kids go to a school, go to that school and endow a chair. You go into an alma mater, go back to your university and endow, research facility. I mean, you want to solve problems of malaria, want to get food production up. Go there, endow a university chair to study cassava bread, or cassava, how we can make cassava less poisonous, or how we can process cassava cheaper in rural areas. Invest your money in research, and you can write that back out as a tax deduction. And they can name a school or name a chair after you. That's a good thing to do with money. So I mean, what we've talked about is really understanding that there are laws out there that allow you to reduce, should we say, the income that is then accessible for income taxes. We're not hiding. We're not trying to say to avoid your taxes. We're saying use the laws that exist to do good. If you are investing in a pension fund, you are creating long-term assets. If you are investing in charity, you are endowing shares for research. If you are investing in NHIS, that's National Health Insurance Scheme, you're also contributing to a general pool that would allow others to then get health insurance. If you're buying a house, you're creating jobs. If you're starting a business, you're also creating jobs and commerce and tax revenues, down the line in VAT and all that. So it's a great way for you to help the economy, to help the society, to contribute as a citizen, to open up a business and to do all this kind of transactions. So take it seriously. Like I said, this is how you can grow your income in quotes, or protect your income from taxes by paying taxes in this tax deferred funds, like we said. So, guys, we'll stop here. Keep following us. Twitter, we're at FinPlanCalu@one. We love your questions. We love you sharing our podcast and telling others about us. We'll see you guys again. For now, you guys take care of yourselves and all stay safe. Thank you.